How many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, I could have done that," but they didn't? So my mate always says to me, "Oh, I could have done that." And the person who says that is someone who's never done shit. And I think it's really interesting with markets being at all-time highs recently, gold at all-time highs. You got Bitcoin popping off and people reflecting on how, my mate told me to buy that, but you didn't. Oh, I was told once about gold and it was 2003 and nothing. But I used to do all the same shit as well. Someone told me about this thing, and but then you don't do anything about it. And well, me, I didn't do anything about it. But also, even if people do take action, then there's the old like, oh, I should have brought more. And I think we have to. I just see it all the time now, and I think, but you didn't. So what? Like, why bang on about that? But I think what we want to do is validate the fact that we loosely knew what to do, or that we could have been in that position. But I think we all need to be mindful that indecision is still a decision. So by not taking action about that, you could write a comment saying, "Oh, I decided not to buy," but you don't. People don't say that. They say, "Oh, I could have brought it. My mate told me to buy it," or whatever the terminology that they use. So by not choosing to do something, you're choosing not to act on that information or to make that decision. And what I come to learn about myself is that people will come to you. I get something every week, especially creating this much content of like, you should be doing this, you should be doing this in your business. You could be investing in this. What about an AI outbound call person? What about this? And a setter, a closer, invest in this crypto. Hey bro, thoughts on gold leveraged at the moment, etc. I'm like, I have to be like, no. Okay, I don't have any thoughts on Dogecoin. I don't have any thoughts on Dogecoin. I probably have a couple, but I'm like, why are you asking me? Why not just take action based on your own belief? And why not get some skin in the game? And I think this is kind of what people do is they, instead of, they're not clear enough on their own thoughts and willing to take action, that they go and talk to other people about it and then don't take any action. And then in the future, if it with hindsight looked like the right thing to do, they'll then say, oh, I knew that was a good idea. But you can't have, because you can't have had enough validation to take action. So you've got to try and figure out why you're not taking action on whatever the thing is that you want to do. It might be quitting your job, or it might be leaving a relationship, or it could be anything. Selling your car, finally getting rid of your credit card, anything, and actually reflecting on that in the future. Okay, why was that important for me? So one thing that I reckon is quite interesting to do is when you have a major decision in your life, or someone tells you something you should do and you're thinking about doing it, make a calendar reminder about it on the day, and then set it for annually, and put it in heaps of detail about what it was about, and then it'll remind you in a year's time of what it was that you either did, you decided not to do, and you can check in on it with proper hindsight. So it's not kind of 5 years later, someone's like, oh, Bitcoin's now at this price, and you go, oh yeah, I knew about that. And it's like, yeah, but again, like you didn't do anything with that. So I think there's a whole heap of people that live like this and constantly look at things that they could have done. What I learned is that eventually I wanted to get off the sidelines and get into the arena and start taking more action, and momentum beat perfection. So I started doing more stuff and I learned more about things. A good example was I was worried about the state of volatility of the world. So then I start figuring out, how do I get exposure to gold without having to carry around a gold bar or something? And so I then go and learn how to do that. Then I'm like, what's this digital gold shit people are talking about? Oh, wow, this is fascinating. I might learn a bit more about that. How do you even buy that? There's a New Zealand-based company that allows for that. Oh, okay, I might learn about that. I might take action. I then take action. And then my initial, say, Bitcoin purchase, for instance, is 10x in New Zealand dollars since the time that I purchased it. And it's like, what did I do here? I just took action. I backed my thinking and I took more action. And I think it's a massive strength of mine, and it actually is. I'm an activator, so I do things, but I do a lot of shit that doesn't work as well, but I diversify the shit that I don't do well by doing things that I do well and doing more of it. But I'm willing to actually take action, to take risk. And I sometimes get frustrated by the people who want to tell you about what you should have done. It's like, yeah, but you didn't, and you're not. So stop telling everyone what they should be doing when you're not even doing it. And then they'll tell you why they're not in the position to do it. So hopefully, this is speaking to some of you and you might tidy up your kind of inaction. But the thing you have to remember too is the more that you tell yourself you know what to do and then you don't do it, and then in hindsight you go, I should have done that, it erodes your self-confidence, and it, like indecision, starts to kill off your own self-confidence. And the reason you're telling people that you knew to do that is so that you can kind of like let the burden go a little bit in the comments or in the convo or in the DM or whatever. And I get that, because we want to get it out of our system. But at some stage you have to go, I don't want that to keep happening in my life. I want to actually take some action or do something different so that I get different results. So have a think about something right now that you're not taking action on, that you're sure you need to take action on, and actually get yourself to the start line and start doing it. And see what momentum that creates for you, what things you learn along the way, and more importantly, the type of person that you become, and then set reminders to then go back and check what your life is like a year later, 2 years later, or 3 years later. And just remember that overarching all of this stuff is probably a fear that you're going to get it wrong. So that's why you're not taking action, because you're worried that you may get it wrong. So by not making a whole heap of decisions, you're ruining your confidence anyway by looking back and picking the ones that would have worked, going, oh, I should have, I knew. But by not doing things, you're making it even harder, because you're leaning into fear, and that's going to be even harder to get out of. So then when you're stuck in fear, you have to think, okay, what data can I find to support that I could get this right? Like if this could go wrong, but what if it goes right? And even if it does go wrong, how could I fix it? What would my ultimate downside risk be? And sometimes I do this all the time with people who are hiring their first employee in business when they're doing business planning with me, is that they are so worried about hiring because it's a commitment and they've got this annual cost, and what if the work stops coming in? There's all this fear and it stops them from doing it. And I model out what's going to happen financially if it all goes well, and then we model what's going to happen if they do add in the cost and they don't even bring in any extra work, how long we could sustain that for. And then I remind them, you could tell them to get another job, eh? This isn't a forever commitment. You're not marrying this person forever, and even in that day and age, people don't stick together. But anyway, they could find some other work. You might have to let them go, and that's perfectly normal as well. But they're so married to the idea, excuse the pun, of having to be committed to them forever that they then don't take any action towards even hiring, because they are fearful that it's going to undo all the good work that they have done. So completely normal thing, but often we don't even have the data to support the fact that it could go wrong. I once famously invested, I think, $4,000 into a course to learn, this is like years ago, before Kiwis were probably even mugging off courses, but how to do e-commerce and do it really well. And I paid the money, then I got into it and was like, oh shit, I don't want to do this. This is not that enjoyable. It looks like a lot of hard work, and I don't know if I need that shiny object. I should just focus on the stuff over here right now. But I took action, I lost money on it, and I carried on. And that was just part of my journey. Now, the ultimate downside risk is that I paid for that and then didn't do anything of it. But the upside was it taught me, Luke, you got to be careful, man, looking for the next shiny object and the next thing, and you got to stay focused and stay consistent with what you are already doing that works really well, and keep going. So what was a financial loss didn't actually cost me that much, because I turned it mentally into an investment to not get caught, the next time these things happen or when they pop up, or to have a better decision-making framework, whether I should jump into the next shiny object, etc. So even the people who are taking action and are taking risks, they're still having to process all of this stuff, because when you don't have money and you don't take risks, you tell people, oh, I knew I should have done that. But once you do, then you worry about it more, because you go from not having to worry about protecting it, and you go from to then having some stuff to then like, oh, do I risk it, to then potentially turn it into more in an investment or whatever. to then, oh, now I'm worried about losing it once you have done it. So it doesn't stop. Like the human brain will still worry about something. You've got to come to terms with that worry. But firstly, you've got to try and get yourself out of this kind of, oh, I could have done that. When you aren't doing anything, all you're doing is eroding your self-confidence. And honestly, to people who are doing shit, they're kind of looking at you being like, fuck up. Like, what are you talking about? Like, don't waste people's time unless you're actually going to do it. That's the blunt truth of probably what a lot of people are thinking that do take a lot of action.